I have a complicated relationship with horror movies. I like them, but they scare me too much. The reason why they scare me is because my brain doesn't work right. My brain believes that the things that happen in the horror movies can actually happen.
Can actually happen. You're not thinking Paranormal Activity was actually a documentary. You're not thinking that.
No, I'm not stupid.
All right, good.
Okay, so someone's pursued and murdered by a ghost. That can't happen. But the people in the movie, they thought the same thing, and it happened to them. If it can be imagined, it can happen.
That's a huge philosophical quandary that goes beyond movies and just like what imagination is and perception.
You know another thing that my brain tells me, and it's been telling me ever since childhood? As long as that light stays on, you'll be fine. But if you turn that light off, you're dead meat.
When I was growing up, I had a long bedroom. On the far end of the bedroom from my bed was a closet door. And a lot of times the light would be left on. And so I'd just be laying in bed, looking at the line under the door, waiting for feet.
Oh, no.
Like the shadow of feet. If that light was off, I was safe. What made it really good was that if I stepped on the floor close to my bed, it would make a noise inside the closet.
Oh, Jesus.
We were terrified young men.
You lived in a house of horrors.
I did.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode, I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good. It might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. It's October. The leaves are dying, there's a chill in the air, and a chill in your bones, for this is the season of Halloween. We'll be watching scary movies all month here in the basement. Do you hear that, Craig? It sounds like there's a storm brewing, but you can toss that umbrella aside and don't even think about putting on them galoshes, because nothing will protect you from the devil's rain.
I don't know what that is, but is that Ernest Borgnine?
Released in 1975, peep this cast. Tom Skerritt, Ida Lupino, Ernest Borgnine, Eddie Albert, Keenan Wynn, William Shatner, and John Travolta.
Really?
The head of the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey, is credited as the film's technical advisor and has a small role.
Ooh. Keep an eye out for him. He'll be the goat.
The critical and commercial response to TDR was so disastrous that it effectively ended director Robert Faust's career.
I don't know. It's not even written here.
His name looks like Faust.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that's appropriate. Forcing upon him the ultimate humiliation, directing for television. His only subsequent feature film would be 1982's Aphrodite, a softcore sex romp set in Greece. Special thanks to viewer Maury Giustini for bringing this movie to my attention. Now we're watching it.
Yeah, we don't know if we'll be saying thank you in a couple hours when we're done watching it.
Here's your gift, you little devil.
I hope it's something to keep away the Satan. Oh no, it's something to make me into Satan.
Something to camouflage you from Satan.
Oh, that's right, I can just blend in.
He'll just think he's walking past a mirror.
This is pressing in on my head.
Sorry.
You're giving me evil thoughts.
Well, that's appropriate, for we're about to go off to the old leather couch and experience a whole lot of evil with the devil's reign. Continuing our forecast throughout the week, the devil's reign will continue through Thursday with a plague of frogs to carry you through the weekend.
But good news on Monday. We will merely be having some minor demon sprinkles. It's a rainy night out at the Preston place.
Mrs. Preston is waiting at the window.
There's an old guy, John, there, too.
I've just made you a fresh pot of coffee, Mrs. Preston.
Thank you, Krampus. Her son, Mark Preston, returns. He's been out looking for his father because he's gone missing. I was clinging to the hoods of cars all day. I'm exhausted. They think Corbus has something to do with this.
They hear someone outside.
They go out and they see their father.
Whoa!
Whoa! And he melts into a mushy puddle.
Jesus.
Oh, he's turning into a goulash. What has Corbus done? Corbus and his gang of Satanists. Mark's not convinced, though. He's like, that wasn't our dad.
Satanic tricksterism.
Come out of this devil's reign. You'll catch your death. You'll just catch death. Mrs. Preston goes underneath the floorboards. I've got some really primo shit down here. This will get us good and high. It's always 420. In hell.
Evidently someone's looking for this book that they own.
She's like, we gotta give the book to Corbus. He'll never leave us alone. Mark says, nah, we're not giving in to Satan. There's another noise outside. It's Dad's truck. See, the puddle outside wasn't Dad after all. Dad's home.
Mark goes out to see his dad, but there's no one at the wheel.
It's driven by a little doll
That's dressed just like Mom.
and inside the house there's a ruckus happening. Oh no, he's been tricked. I did it, me, Mini Satan.
Just a few seconds, Old Man John's hanging from the ceiling and Mom's gone.
Con! I think they're ignoring the truly extraordinary thing that happened. A little doll drove a truck. Mark goes into the floor, he pulls out an amulet. This'll protect him.
The next day, he hops in a station wagon and he drives.
He arrives at his destination, Redstone.
This town is kind of like a ghost town.
Too much fighting on the dance floor. There he sees Corbus. The pump does work, even though the vandals left the handle. But Corbus just looks like an old guy in a cowboy hat. He couldn't hurt nobody.
Very grand paternal.
Corbus is the leader of an insidious group of Satanists.
Did you bring the book?
Corbus is given a book. Mark says, you're not going to get the book.
Hey, let me show you something. I got a little show going on in the church and I'd like to invite you to it.
I'll face whatever you have behind those doors and come out exactly as I went in.
My faith against yours.
And then you give me back my mom and my dad.
And if you lose?
You don't have a fiddle of gold for me or anything, do you? I get the book, and I get your soul. Corbus takes Mark into the church, which is a satanic church.
Corbus starts up his satanic ritual. Oh, he seems to be taking it pretty well. He's saying his prayers.
Deliver me from evil.
Evil? There is no evil here.
Though I am a little stinker.
Seize him!
Oh, right in the milk bags.
Is that your faith?
Yes, I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. He runs out of the church. He's like, see, I won. But there's all these cloaked Satanists out there.
Get him, boys.
He's got his protective amulet, though, so nothing can harm him. But Corbus has some tricks up his sleeve.
Behold!
He fooled him. He got inside his brain.
That's right.
He did the old Lost Boys trick. And Mark's in trouble. Meanwhile, at a college somewhere, there's a lecture going on about ESP, led by Dr. Richards. Shit.
There's a pretty lady on the table. This is Tom Preston's wife. Her name is Julie.
And Tom is Mark's brother. Julie has a gift for ESP.
It's as if I were watching a movie.
It's like how I'm feeling.
And while she's under, she has a vision. Mark's in trouble. Tom goes and talks to the local sheriff.
He's always helpful.
My brother's in trouble. The sheriff's like, I don't care, man. There was a big storm. I got to deal with that, okay?
People were stuck in a car in that storm last night and just tossed them around like a toy.
Storms, okay?
Well, look at the inside of your house. It's a shambles.
You think a storm did that, Sheriff?
Yes, I do.
If I catch that storm, I'm going to arrest it.
Remember back a few years ago when Bobby Kennedy was shot in Los Angeles? Storm.
Mark and Julie go off on their own.
But you better take plenty of water. You better take extra gas.
You better take some pictures, because it's a beautiful country out there.
Tell you what, you give me a call the minute you get back.
We'll go bowling. Hey, I'm driving away now. All right, see you later. Dum-de-dum-de-dum-dum-dum. Boy, I sure like mountains. How are they possibly going to fit Travolta into all of this?
I was just thinking that.
Meanwhile, back at the church, Mark is being tortured. Rock and roll!
Tom and Julie drive to Redstone.
Weird, isn't it?
String theory. It's weird, right? And they find the church, all this satanic accoutrement.
Can you find the star?
And they find Mark's shirt. You know how they know it's Mark's shirt?
Mom always writes our names in blood on all of our shirts.
Ever since we went to camp.
Their car is blown up. His brother's car comes barreling at him.
The car crashes. The guy gets out and runs into a house. They chase him inside there, and this guy jumps out and wrestles with him. I think you might recognize his face.
You have to imagine like steely blue eyes. Yeah, that's the man. He's our Travolta.
And Julie looks into the cavernous sockets of his eyes, and she has another vision. A vision of the past.
Back to colonial times.
Corbus is having a meeting with all of these people who he's converted to Satan. One of them, Martin Fife, bears a striking resemblance to Mark Preston. Martin Fife has taken their special Satan book and given it to the church. And now the church is closing in. They're going to burn everybody at the stake for being witches. Corbus says, I curse you, Martin Fife. I will follow you throughout the generations.
And thy descendants for all eternity.
I'm going to track them all down. I'm going to make them all into Satan's lunchbox.
Everybody's burned at the stake. End flashback. And they drive off. But Tom says, I gotta go back. Try and save my brother. You keep driving. But uh-oh, Mama Preston's in the back.
Whoa, no.
Julie gets real scared, drives off the road into a tree. That night there's a big outdoor ceremony. Oh, we oh. We oh, oh. And Tom infiltrates the cult.
Where'd he get the robe?
He beat up a guy and he took his robe.
That's a scene I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah.
Let us behold the Father.
Are Borgnine's eyebrows naturally satanic, or do you think they tricked him out a little bit?
It's been so long since I've seen Borgnine, I don't know.
You ain't seen him like this. Corbus turns into sort of a monster man.
What is thy purpose?
Corbus has got Mark. He does a bunch of ceremonial things.
Be sealed by the holy waters of forgetfulness.
Otherwise known as Seagrams. He sprinkles some water on his face, and Corbus wins.
Blasphemer!
Tom
Is ratted out by Danny. That's the name of John Travolta's character. You can only tell that by looking at the credits.
Tom is chased off. He gets attacked by various people, but he survives the night. And the next day, he's talking with Dr. Richards, who has come to his aid. This book has all the names of the people that Corbus converted to Satanism.
In the book is Mark Preston's name. The blood's fresh.
If the book can be destroyed, then all of these souls will be set free because they're currently being tortured in hell.
In that last night in the ceremony,
Yeah?
I said something about I condemn my soul to the devil's reign.
Uh-huh.
Boy, they're just real casual right now for all the freaky shit that's been happening. Just a couple old pals hanging out on the porch. Julie has been captured by the cult. She is going to be indoctrinated in some sort of erotic ceremony.
So we may see the divine fire.
The ultimate horror to be macked on by Borgnine. Tom and Dr. Richards investigate the church.
There's a big manhole cover down by the altar.
There's a strange object, and you can see the souls of the people that are being tortured. This is big, says Dr. Richards, who seems to know everything about this cult.
The sheriff shows up. Oh, thank God, the sheriff. Oh, no.
Satan's got to him, too.
You two look like a couple of storms.
They wrestle with him, and they toss him in the hole, and boom, he's burned up by the hellfire.
They're coming. Quick, let's go to the shadows. But they leave the book behind. And Mr. Squirrely Travolta finds the book. He gives it to Corbus. Corbus is like, I got my book back. Yeah! Tom is found. He's manhandled.
He's useless.
Cult's got him now, but Dr. Richard steps out of the shadows and he's like, hey, check this out. I got this thing. You let all these people go, or I'm going to smash it and bring about the devil's reign. Dr. Richards is disarmed immediately. He's an old man. What's he going to do? Mark has the object. He's bringing it back to Corbus, but Dr. Richards says,
Hey, you're still Mark. We know you're in there. Smash the bottle.
Your soul will be set free. He's convinced. And the devil's reign begins.
Corbus smash!
He grabs Tom. He's like, I'm so mad at you. I'm going to get you. He tries to shove him into that pit.
You've done a bad thing.
But you know what the devil's reign does? It makes them melt.
If you're a fan of people melting, watch this movie.
Their features get all goopy.
Their hands melt. They're reaching for each other. There's this last grasp of love because they're melting. Cecil.
You know when they say there's always room for Jell-O? I think they're wrong. And the same thing happens to Corbus. And something like this happened to my brother back in the 80s. Yeah? He listened to a Motley Crue album.
Oh.
He just melted into jelly. Tom is reunited with his wife, Julie. But wait, what's going on?
Psych!
Oh, Satan. Oh, you. Tom and Corbus then made love all night long. It was some of the most fulfilling lovemaking that either of them has had. And they have had a wonderful relationship ever since. The Devil's Reign. I hope you didn't get any on you. Did that plot make a damn bit of sense?
No, the plot had potential. The entire movie had potential, starting at the cast and moving all the way down to like an interesting story. Obviously, they had something of a cinematographer. And
well, those Satanic Panic movies were all over the 60s and 70s.
I know. It's like disco and Satan. That's what all of their entertainment was about.
Satanic disco. Why did that ever happen?
I don't know. You had Travolta in this movie. He could have done something.
I didn't understand the relation between Mark Preston and Martin Fife.
I think Fife might have been an ancestor, but he says he's going to get all of the Prestons.
Right. What does Dr. Richards have to do with any of this?
Who's Old Man John back at the house?
Yeah, right.
Old Man John, I had to be there just so he could say, crazy shit just happened here in the house while you were out in the yard.
All the acting is good. But I guess this proves the whole thing where you can be the best actor in the world, but if you have a shit script, it's going to be a shit movie.
Shatner is doing that post-Kirk suffering thing, and Borgnine's being avuncular and likable.
But at the same time, eerie. I mean, he really was good in this role.
He did not choose the scenery. He had no appetite for scenery at all in this movie. Even when he had like the full goat makeup on, he wasn't like, ah! That's something else that the movie had going for it. They had pretty creepy makeup. It was obviously effective enough that 5 years later, when John Carpenter was making Halloween, he did the exact same thing for Michael Myers, literally getting a Captain Kirk mask and painting it white.
Oh, right.
So I think that this movie may have had a link to a quality horror movie.
It did horror well.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't do storytelling well.
No.
And there were some parts that were supposed to be horrific that ended up being funny.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Goat Boy.
Another thing they didn't answer in the movie, who was everyone else? Were they just random people that John Corbis found in his travels? Or were they all the other Prestons and Fifes that he gathered, in his journeys?
Well, I don't see that as so important. They were the monsters.
They were the monsters. But what if we would have known what the great plan of John Corbis was? Does he want to take over the world? Was he in it just to ruin this guy's life? He's like, what's his end game?
Maybe this was the intention of the writers and the filmmakers, is that there's all these plot holes. Just fill in your own plot. Use your imagination. You can come up with wonderful stories too, viewer.
Kind of a Rorschach test of a movie.
Sure, yeah. I think Anton LaVey's influence was obvious here, but I didn't see him. He's supposed to be in the movie.
I bet he was the guy behind Borgnine wearing the helmet.
Has it been prepared?
It has.
I bet that was him.
Yep. So what was it about Satan and the 70s? It started out with Rosemary's Baby, I imagine. By the 80s, when we were coming up, the people who were raised in that era were terrified that their children were getting into Satanism. And so there are all these crazy stories about, how heavy metal music was turning kids into Satanists. There was a statistic that said that there were 50,000 human sacrifices in the United States in 1 year in the late 80s, which was entirely made up. Don't believe statistics, particularly if they use the number 50,000. That is the scare number.
To call this a movie that even features John Travolta is saying a bit much. He's basically an extra. He has one line, which I don't think that was his voice.
Blasphemer!
Leonard Maltin said of this movie, memorable ending. It's pretty non-committal on his part.
But it's not true. You're not going to forget everyone getting their faces melted off.
It's like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark times 100.
Yes, it is.
We watched The Devil's Reign here on the show, and if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Get together with your sweetheart and have a scary time.
This is the perfect makeout movie, guys. Turn it on, watch 2 minutes, make your move.
Well, zip up your slicker and go on over to our website. Welcome to thebasementshow.com. You can see all of our episodes, and there's a PayPal donation button. You can donate a few dollars to support our show, or you can set up monthly rolling donations. Donate a little bit every month. Our recent donors include Luke, Andy, Jeffrey, William, who says thanks for the countless hours of entertainment. Michael, and Michael. Simon, make sure you enjoy a delicious coffee. Love from Aussie land. Ann, Maura, Wilson, Andrew, big fan from Vancouver, Washington. You guys inspired Jimmy and I to make our own movie show. I was also wondering if you could give us a thumb kiss. Jacqueline, Tristan, Kevin, Aaron, and Ron. Thanks to all of our donors and monthly donors. We got some fun things in our mailbag, Craig. Allison from North Carolina.
One of my 2 favorite Carolinas.
Ben from South Carolina.
Oh, my top 3.
And we've got a 3D postcard of Strasbourg from John.
I could hardly tell it was coming towards me. It's very tricky.
We've gotten our first wedding invitation. Amanda and Matthew are having a Halla wedding on October 31st, and they invited us to come by there. I'm sorry we can't make it, but I'll be dropping our RSVP in the mail tomorrow. And viewer T.A. Epley has sent us a couple of gifts. The first one is this record, Big Star, Radio City, my favorite Big Star album.
That's a very good album for all you September girls out there.
T.A. hasn't forgotten you, Craig. Ooh. He sent this to you. It is a Criterion documentary about Carl Theodor Dreyer, My Métier.
Oh, he directed one of my favorite movies, The Passion of Joan of Arc. Thank you.
And now, it's time for Seen It.
Seen It.
Our theme for Seen It, naturally, is horror. Movies that scare you.
Shrek on Ice. Shrek on Ice asks, have you guys seen It Follows? A really interesting and effective horror film that can be interpreted in a ton of ways. Seen it.
I haven't seen it because I heard it was too scary.
But the thing that makes it great for me is that months after I saw it, when I'd get up in the middle of the night and the back porch light was on, I would think, it's here. It's come for me. And that's what makes a great horror movies.
Not gonna watch it.
Oh, you should. It's really good.
I can't. It's going to scare me at 3 a.m. for months. Tempo Topo says, seen it. Picnic at Hanging Rock. It has atmosphere and mystery aplenty in the outback Dan Unda. Seen it.
Seen it.
I've heard this movie called a mystery. I've heard it called a thriller. But to me, the moment when those girls disappear behind that rock, that is pure terror. And the horror of this movie isn't so much scares. It's just the sick feeling of dread that you have throughout the whole thing.
Using atmosphere,
building tension,
and you know something's going to happen, and at the end you're like, what happened? You're stuck with these people who have to live with this for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
What happened to those girls? Monster Lair asks, listening to you talk about Spinal Tap made me wonder if you've seen another amazing film in the same vein, no pun intended, though pun achieved. What We Do in the Shadows. Seen it.
Seen it, yes.
Do not watch the preview for this movie. It gives away so many of the best jokes and also so much of the plot, more importantly.
The characters in it are so likable that I think that's really what draws you in. And it does have moments of horror. I mean, when they're biting their victims and there's blood spraying everywhere, it's hilarious, but also it's very gory and shocking at times.
Oh, it's a ghost cat.
Colin Ross, Cabin in the Woods, seen it.
Seen it.
It's crazy to me that this movie was shelved for so long and it might never have been released. It's so great.
Creative.
Everyone talks about how revolutionary Scream was, taking the horror tropes and sort of building them into a story. But this one is like PhD level of that.
Yes, meta horror to the extreme. And they have Thor in there. And if Thor's scared, you're scared. But you're not scared because also it's kind of funny.
Well, that is Seen It.
And that's our show.
Thanks for joining us for The Devil's Reign.
For a second, I totally forgot we watched a movie. It's that good.
We hope you'll join us next time for another scary movie as we get closer and closer to Halloween. And we'll each be choosing a character from one of the movies we've watched this season and dressing up as them.
You want to guess who's going to be dressed as what? Do it. That's what comments are for.
And we will see you next time. Good night.
Good night. Don't let the rain bite.
There's nothing in the subconscious that cannot be raised to the conscious level.
Nothing, Doctor?
Nothing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a long commute back to my home in the country where I live with my wife, who's used to finer things, but I've forced her to live on a farm nonetheless.